So, doing a little something different today. I want to talk about, a music subject as opposed to a book or a movie or an anime series, etc. So, today I want to talk about a really good band that I like called The Shags. And it's a band a lot of people haven't heard of, and the ones that have heard of them have a very kind of divisive opinion. Some people love them, some people hate them. Um, there's kind of a either or factor with them. Most people have wrote very scathingly about the music, and other people have praised them for their unconventionality and their unique sound. So let's just start with who they are. So who are the Shags? Well, the Shags are a female rock band that was formed in 1968. They were comprised of sisters named Dorothy, Betty, and Helen. And they were on vocals and lead guitar, vocals and rhythm guitar, and drums. Later, their sister played with them named Rachel. But this was after the singular album that they did. So, who are they? Where did they come from? They were formed in New Hampshire by their father, who insisted that they take musical lessons and form a group. You see, their father was a very superstitious guy whose mother made a bunch of predictions, and one of them being that he would have daughters, and those daughters would go on to be famous rock stars. Well, he decided to make this a self-fulfilling prophecy, and made his daughters drop out of school, take lessons, and record an album. However, his daughters had zero musical experience, zero vocal experience, and didn't even really want to play music. They basically just did it because he made them. And this inexperience shows in their music in the fact that it has a very raw sound. It doesn't sound like a tightened, rehearsed band. It sounds more just like some girls jamming in a garage, which I am totally on board for. I love music that has a raw, undisciplined sound. I love music that has a very kind of raw authenticity to it, and that's why I love these girls. It's very good stuff. A lot of people don't like them because their music has a very loose, almost a tonal, free, loose sound. It's hard to describe them. Their vocals aren't quite on a set pitch per song. Their guitars don't really have continued rhythm or riffs. Their playing kind of goes over or under or even around the vocals as opposed to being a basis for the singer's vocals or lyrics on top of it. Their sound has more of almost a chaotic quality, in that everything almost sounds like it's kind of fighting against each other. Like, the guitars don't sound like they're fitting to what the drums are doing, and the drums don't sound like they're fitting to what the vocals or guitars are doing. It almost sounds like Captain Beefheart. If you're familiar with what he sounds like, he had a very loose, chaotic, polyrhythmic sound. This sounds like Beefheart's polyrhythmic, chaotic, free jazz sound, but without the complex musicality or the big rehearsed sound. Beefheart's music, seemingly chaotic and wild, was actually very tight and rehearsed for months at end. The Shags don't sound like they rehearsed at all. And this is not knocking them. I love them. Like, the Shags are a very great band. But there's a very authentic, unpracticed, unrehearsed sincerity to it. It sounds like what it is. It sounds like these girls don't really know what they're doing. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It just sounds like they're kind of winging it. and it just happened to be on tape. But that's what gives it its sound, and I like that. I like that it doesn't sound like anything else. I like that they sound like their own band. They're very interesting, and lyrically they're very unique in that their songs all kind of have this sweet, naive, but kind of bitter tone to them. Like, there's songs about, lovers not being faithful or true to them. There's songs about how they don't understand, why bad things happen in the world. They're coupled with things like, childhood companions, going to the beach, listening to the radio, celebrating Halloween. There's even a religious song on their album. Their album, by the way, is called Philosophy of the World. It was the only album they did, and it came out in 1969. There was a compilation album released after it in the 80s called Shag's Own Thing, which was just comprised of unreleased material that they had recorded in the studio. But they only recorded one official studio album, which is, like I said, Philosophy of the World. But yes, there's this very sweet kind of sincerity to it, coupled with a very bitter, almost pessimistic tone lyrically in what they're talking about in these songs, which kind of offsets that very sweet, unrehearsed, it is what it is kind of sound they have. And I think that's great. And like I said previously, a lot of people have derided them for what they perceive as sounding untalented or ugly, and other people have lauded them, saying that they're fantastic. There's even an apocryphal story that Frank Zappa once said that they were better than the Beatles. And again, there's other people that have claimed that they originated the phrase better than the Beatles with them. But the point is, there are people out there, myself included, who are genuine fans of them and love what they did. They love that it doesn't sound rehearsed. They love that it doesn't sound polished. They love that it's its own weird, almost atonal sound that they did. It's just some girls playing. They're just playing simple songs the best way they can. And the fact that they, can't play complex, 12-bar blues or do really wailing guitar solos or things is part of their charm. There's something about their, basic, simplistic sound that appeals to me and a lot of other people too. So, if that sounds like your kind of thing, I would definitely recommend them. They're very good. And they have a very, like I said, kind of what I've mentioned, they have kind of a bizarre backstory. Their whole existence of how they came to be is kind of a strange story in itself. With their whole, father, whose family was into palm reading and stuff, claiming all these weird things, and how their father wanted so badly to make this prediction that his mother told him true, to the point of forcing his daughters to even create this band.